Perfect. So welcome. So what we're going to do today is show you what DTools SI 2017 is all about. So a little bit of background on DTools. We are a software solution that's been around now close for 20 years. We've been working with low voltage integrators that whole time. The low voltage industry is really what we're focused on. We started off primarily on the AV side about 20 years ago. Over the years, have transitioned and broadened that into security, including surveillance, access control. Also includes networking, lighting, even some electrical as well too. So pretty broad mix. So anything low voltage, DTools can handle. And DTools can incorporate really three areas of the business, which we're going to focus on today. One of those is project estimation. So being able to put together some accurate estimates and quotes for your projects, as well as be able to produce nice looking proposals to your customers. We also integrate the engineering side. So we do integrate directly with AutoCAD and Visio. So you can actually drag and drop items and build things like floor plans. You can build racks. You can do wiring diagrams. And all that's integrated in with our bill of materials or estimating tools. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We can actually build the project one of two ways. We can start with the bill of materials or the estimate first, or we can do the drawing first and it builds all the numbers and pricing for you based off that. And then last, we're going to focus on the scheduling and installation side of the software. So we'll tell you how we can issue work orders, how we can manage service requests through the system, and really run it all the way from start to finish. So let's go ahead and dive in here and show you how all of that works. So a good place to start, right now we're on the home page. We're going to go up here to the Add Products area, and let's show you what our library looks like. So one of the big advantages of the DTools system is we do have a huge library that's always being updated by both us and the manufacturers. Our library right now consists of a little over 2 million parts, around 2,000 vendors total are in here. We've got a little over 200 manufacturers that are managing their own libraries here inside the system. We also have our own full-time data team as well that manages the rest. On average, we're usually adding or updating anywhere from about 1,000 to 5,000 parts every single week. So a lot of data is being added and updated here in the library really every day. Now in the library, you simply start by coming over to the left-hand side and you can navigate through the products by brand and or categories, find the item that you're looking for. So say if we were using, Hikvision as an example, type in the word hike, we can go click on it. This will now show us what products are available from that brand, and we can choose to download everything or just the specific models or parts that we want to work with. And we do categorize everything over here on the left, so you can kind of narrow this down even further to find what you're looking for. So this is really your first step. Just consider this a huge head start on getting your database set up, as well as also maintaining your database. There's a lot of really good information that we're tracking in here to integrate all the different areas of the process from start to finish. So let me show you what we track here inside the software. So let's go over here to the catalog. Now our catalog consists of products, labor items, and packages. So let's go up here to products, and what I want to do, let's go search for an item. So what I'm going to do, let's pull up a camera here. So no matter what it is, whether it's a camera, whether it's an amplifier, a speaker, a router, everything's going to have the same information on it. It's going to have manufacturer, model, categories. We also allow you to link up the parts to a default system. So that way when we're breaking out the numbers and budget, we can kind of see, okay, what's allocated to access control versus surveillance versus audio here inside the program. And we also have images in there as well. The images are used really in a few different ways. We can use that on the proposals or quotes that we generate. Can also be used for some simple one-line drawings too with the Visio. We also have descriptions on products. We usually do a short and long description, so you can actually use either one of those that you wish. You can also, of course, edit those if you like. And all the pricing information can be stored here within the software. So places, things like cost, sell price, margin, and markup are all there. Now you can import your price sheets into our software. We can also do price feeds with certain vendors as well. And we also have the ability to set up pricing based off price rules. So price rules are basically formulas that you can create. So you can say, okay, for this vendor or this brand, our cost is 40% off a list or 50% off a list. So there's a few different ways that you can set up and manage that here inside the software. Now we're also tracking labor on products too. So with this, we can actually, we have a default labor time that we give you from our library. You can always change that if you want to, but we do start you off with an industry average. So how it works, if you use this method, when you add the part into a project, the labor time gets factored and it multiplies it by your labor rate. So that way we get a total install price, which I'll show you a quick snapshot of here. So, you can even include on the labor side, you can allocate a little bit of money in for things like management, design, labor as well. So it all gets factored and built up as you go. Now, time actually does factor into the scheduling and installation side of our system too, which we'll review later on. This will help us with planning and managing our team. You'll also notice there's phases linked to every part too, which that comes into ordering and install, which we'll talk about later. Now for ordering, a few different ways you can do POs. We can do POs directly from DTools. You can send those out electronically. We can also export those out, so we can bring those out of our system and into other solutions if needed. We're also tracking some technical stuff too. Now, the reason we care about the specifications, the dimensions, this is used for the engineering side. So if you wanted to build a scaled rack layout, you can drag and drop the items out, make your connections, and it actually builds, scaled layout, make sure everything's, going to work properly on the page. Also, power and heat ratings can also be used for devices where that's important. So you can get things like rack loaded ports if needed. We also have IOs on products too. This is for doing wiring diagrams, so it makes the drawing process faster. Now what's really nice is as you're building your wiring diagram, it actually creates a cable schedule or wire checklist for you based off the drawing. So that's a really nice document to have for the install team to refer to. We also too create all your wire numbers and your wire labels as well. So as I'm building my projects, all my labels and numbers are being auto done. I can feed it off to several different label makers that we work with. We also have the ability to add accessories. So this is where you can link up other parts or labor that you may use with the item. So things like in this example for this camera, I've got a mount and a cable. So any kind of equipment or labor, the whole idea is you're not having to go look up these items every single time. You also don't have to worry about forgetting stuff too, because you're getting those reminders here along the way. Another nice little feature too is alternates. Now I don't have anything assigned to this part, but what an alternate is, this allows you to show the customer an upgrade or downgrade option. So if you ever wanted to present a proposal and show, hey, in this example, maybe I got a standard def camera. If you want to move up to the high def cameras, that would be an extra $90 per device. TV, go from 60 to 70, whatever the scenario is, you can set up your alternatives. So that way you can present those options on the proposal without having to build 2 or 3 different versions of it. We also have the ability to find usages of equipment. So if I want to go back and see, show me everywhere where this product was used. I can easily go back and see that. I can also see my price history as well. So this is great if you want to go back and maybe do some upgrades, or if there's a recall. This is how you can quickly find where you sold this at. So that's a little bit on the database side of things. Now we track a lot of information, as you can see. The good thing is we do provide a lot of this information, so it's already there. So really you can just start dragging and dropping this stuff into a project or into a drawing. Now, one last thing on the data side before we jump into the project build, you can also create packages. So packages are pre-built systems or solutions. This can be, good, better, best solutions, 4, 8, 16 camera packages. Can also, show you a plate here. This example has a name, description, and all the little parts and pieces can go in there. So, the idea of packages is, one, you don't have to go and rebuild the same thing over and over again, which is nice. And then 2, you can also hide details. So if I don't really care to show the customer all the details of this plate, as an example, they could probably care less how many keystone jacks are in the project. So you get to keep the technical detail for your ordering and installation side, but you also get to trim it down to the simple stuff for what the customer sees. So kind of gives you the best of both worlds there for that. So that's a little bit on the database side of things. So now we're ready to go build a project. Let's show you how all that information that we just reviewed gets pulled together and assembled here inside the program. So I'm going to jump back here to the home page. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to the project section. We're going to go click on new, and we're going to go start up our project. Now, when you start a project, we take you through what's called a new project wizard. So a little step-by-step walkthrough. So, first thing I may want to do is choose my client. So we can go in there and choose one. Now we can also import from other programs too, like Outlook, Excel, and any other third-party applications we tie in with. We'll go in here. We're going to call this September webinar. Okay. We're going to choose what stage we're in. So these are all stages you can customize, and it's really good for pipeline reporting as well. So go in. We can also set start and end dates, and we can also choose our price tier. So you can do up to 12 tiers of pricing in the database, which is great for if you're doing work for repeat customers. You can have their price tier scheduled in here. We've also got other contacts. So if you're working with other trades or other contacts within that organization, you can also link them up here as well. We can also set, of course, site and billing address. We can set and choose our tax rates for the project. And we can also choose project resources. So this is who's working on the project. We'll say, okay, Adam's our PM, got Joey's our lead tech, Jeff's our sales rep, and then we've got Johnny is another tech. So you kind of go through, just choose who's doing what on the project. And what this does, this allows me to set permissions as well, where people that are only involved with that project can see or edit that project. So that's nice. Also, scope of work. So scope of work is very important for a project, as we all know, but they can be time consuming. So what we do here to make that a little faster is you can drop in what are called snippets. So I can go in here and say, okay, for this project, we're going to be doing surveillance, some access control, some digital signage, a little bit of audio security. So I'm just going through and selecting a few different systems. Once I drop that in there, helps me get my scope framed up. These are templates that you can set up and you can manage. Very easy to save these. Just simply highlight something you put in here, click new snippet, and then you can name it, put it in a folder, and it's there for future projects. It's a little repository for the whole team to access. We also have the ability to put in our location. So this is where the equipment's going to go on this project. And if you don't know this information at this point, you can always come back and edit it or add to it later. So let's go up here to locations. All right, so now depending on the projects that you do, like I've got a mix of some commercial and residential options in here and even some school. So you can trim out what you don't need. You can always add more to it, as with any of our lists. Let's go throw in let's do a conference room, front entryway, hallway, mechanical, a couple offices for entryway. Just go through and select all the options here that you want for that particular location. You can also get pretty detailed, which we won't do today. So things like, building names, floor names can be identified. Of course, we're down to the room level. And you can even go into a room and add in things like racks. So if I want to go into a room and say, all right, rack 1 and 2 is going in there. Now we have a very specific breakdown of where the equipment goes. So very detailed, not only for the estimating side, but really important on the installation side too. So we're going to go ahead and slide over. We're going to do our payment schedule. So we can go in here and say, all right, let's go ahead and set up, payment terms. You can adjust this per project. You can also have standard payment term templates set up in here as well that you can pull from. This will show up on the contracts with terms. And lastly, this is your custom fields. So this is where you can go in and really add any additional fields that you want. So things like, maybe a building code, Wi-Fi password, and this information can be shared with technicians out in the field if you wish. Let's go ahead and save on that. So now that we've kind of set up or teed up this project, now we're ready to start putting some equipment into it and kind of show you how this gets built up. Now with D-Tools, there's really kind of two ways of building a project. So one is we can actually start with the equipment list first, and then we can make a drawing from it. The other option is we could actually build a drawing first, which is actually a very different way, but actually smart way of doing it. A lot of people, may start with doing drawings or sketching things out, and then they do equipment counts off of that and create their estimate. So this is a great way. With D-Tools, you have the option of building that floor plan, building that rack, doing that simple line drawing that creates your quote or estimate as you go, so you're not having to do double work. Now for today, we'll do a little bit of both, just to kind of cover both scenarios. We'll add a few items here on the estimating or bill of material side, and then we'll transition over to the drawing side and show you how that all integrates and ties in. So if we're starting with an equipment list, what we do is we come over here to the left. We can see our product explorer. Over on the right, here's all the locations that we've set up. So what I'm going to do is go search for a part. Let's say I want a NVR. I select the item, and I'm just going to drag and drop it right from my search right to the rack 1. So just like that, it says, hey, do you want to also include the vent panel? So let's go ahead and toss that in there with it. And so now both items are in the project, and we can see our pricing with labor included. So now let's go grab a few other items. So if I know what I'm looking for, or if I don't, you can literally just type in keywords like that. I can go down and find the part I need. And I can come over here to the right and once again select where I want it to go. So the good thing is I can take items and apply them to multiple locations at one time. Let's go put it in the front entryway, the hallway, the mechanical room, and the rear entryway. So I've got 4 locations selected. Drag and drop it in. Once again, it's prompted me for some additional items, so cable and also a mount. So let's go ahead and put that in there. And since we're dealing with cabling now, anytime you put bulk cable into the system, it's going to ask you for some more information. So one of those things is, what's the head in? So we'll say that's rack 1. We can come over here to the wire length. We'll say 150 feet. And you can also set connector types for into your cable. You can have defaults already pre-assigned, or you can assign them here as you go. Or you can have it where the software even assigns them automatically based on what you connect it to. So we can keep track of that for you. So just like that, dropped 1 into each location. If I wanted to do, 2, 3, or 4 into each location, I can also change my quantity there. And what's nice too with this is I can also build out other details too. So if I want to come over here and let's say grab a package, I can drag and drop a complete system in here. So if I wanted to drop in, an access control kit, which may have like a card reader, door contact, all those things can be pre-built. So I can just drop it into all the locations without having to recreate the wheel over and over again. So you kind of get the idea of how bill of materials is created. You go find your parts, you assign them to the rooms, and this creates your numbers here for you. Now, once you've got those items in here, your next step is you may want to start building some drawings. You may want to start running some reports. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. So if I did want to get a quick document from this, let's go up here to the report side. Let's go up here and do a quick one. So I'm going to do a proposal with images, and I'm going to look at the project by location. Now, as you can see, we've got a lot of different template options in here. You can always create your own as well. So we do have our own built-in report designer, so you can make it look and feel however you want to and add your own graphics. We do also offer that as a service too, where we can build a turnkey document for you that if you want to customize. So there's our cover sheet, and you can of course change the graphics and the settings. You can also change the image on the front. Shows me what's going into the project here, so I'm doing it room by room. Now in this example, I have the line item pricing turned off, so you can turn that stuff on and off here as you wish. I'm also showing the accessories, which that can also be turned on and off. And even things like the model numbers as well too can be hidden if you want. So kind of running through what's in there, the images, you can choose to show that. And then at the bottom, we're going to show a nice little summary of your equipment, your labor, and your tax based on that. Now, let's say if I want to do something a little bit more detailed, I can also run what we call a report group. So what a report group is, this basically allows me to go in and create some templates here of different reports that we like to use. So instead of having to run 5 or 6 different reports, I can run the ones I like to have as a part of my proposal submittal, and this will bring it all together into one document for us. Okay, so now we've got our cover sheets. We now have our little company profile. So you can, have a little introduction about your company, who you are, what your services are, a little bit about your history. Scope of work can be embedded in there. Then we've got our breakdown of our project so far, so we can see it here, front entryway, and you can even do it by location and system, so it doesn't have to be just one or the other. It could be a combination of the two. Then we'll kind of roll down here to the bottom, and then we've got our summary. Now, before we wrap it up, I also have a contract on there too, so you can also have a contract with your terms and conditions. Also got your payment schedule on there as well. And then you got your sign off here at the bottom. Now, all this does work with our online customer portal. So you can actually take any of these documents and you can submit these online for your client or customer to review. Show you a quick example of that. So this is what the customer sees. Now, this is a customer with a lot of different projects. So normally they would just see just the documents, that are related to them. But we'd go in, I can click on a document. What's nice, as soon as I click on that, that actually notifies whoever sent the proposal out or anybody on the team that needs to know about it that, hey, your client has looked at this. I can review the document here, just like we saw earlier. And if I want to accept it, I can also choose to accept it. I can make a comment. This will also keep a little comment history in here as well. So we'll hit accept. Then we can say this, and I'll say paying by check. Okay, so that's now been saved, signed, and tagged. So that will now take that project or that proposal that's been signed off on. It's now going to submit it back to me via email as a PDF. The customer also gets a copy of that. So this makes it a true paperless process. You can also use this tool for sharing drawings or any other documents, including things like change orders in here. So really nice tool for interacting there with the client electronically. So that's a little bit on the estimating side of things. What we're going to do now is let's go move on to the drawing side of things. Let's show you what that looks like. Let's close this out. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is take our project. Now we can do drawings one of two ways. We can go in and start a Visio drawing, or we can start an AutoCAD drawing. What I'll do, let me show you just a little bit of both. And whichever tool you use, it's great. It works well with both systems. You could even use both platforms if you want in here. So we'll show you AutoCAD first. We'll just do maybe one or two types of drawings here. And then we'll also show you a little bit of the Visio side as well. So we're going to launch this up in AutoCAD here at first. And like I said, if you're a Visio user, stick with Visio. If you're an AutoCAD user, stick with AutoCAD. You don't necessarily have to switch, which is great. We work with the two industry standard drawing tools for that. So AutoCAD is going to launch up here. As you may know, it takes a minute for AutoCAD to warm up. So we'll give it a second here to launch up. And once this opens up, you're going to see a few things DTools related that's going to pop up here that normally aren't there. So that includes our database and also your parts list. Okay, so there we go. So everything's popping up here. So there's my product database here on the left. We've also got our full block libraries. Now, if you've got a lot of blocks that you've built, you can also link those AutoCAD blocks to this database as well. So we can use your blocks if you want. Now, the other window that opens up is my project editor. So this is the exact same interface we were just in a few minutes ago when we built up the parts list. So what's nice is I can come over here and simply drag and drop items out onto the page. So let's say if I want to go grab a camera, a cable, and an NVR. So I'll go ahead and drag and drop that onto the drawing page. So there's my items here. And then what I'm going to do is take my camera, and I'll take my NVR and place this over here. Now, if you get into a drawing, which is real life scenario, you may get into it, realize, oops, we forgot something, or we need to swap something out. That's not going to work. You can also come over here and add stuff to the drawing, which will also add it to your quote or your bill of materials at the same time. So how it works is really the same as building a quote as we did earlier. We just select rack 1 is where that new item is going to go. Come over here to the left. I'm going to type in Lilin was the brand I'd been using. Oops, well, got to spell it right. That would actually help. So let's do that. So we go and grab a switch. I'm going to drag the switch into the drawing. Now what's nice is that actually has added the switch to my AutoCAD drawing. It's also added the switch to my project. So now the equipment, the labor, the tax has been factored in. I didn't have to go back to another solution, another software to manage that. So we're going to take our blocks here, just kind of rearrange it the way we want. And this is a schematic drawing. This is where we do a wiring diagram. You may choose to start with a floor plan or rack first if you want. But I'll just take my cable here, connect it up where I want there, connect it up over here. And so what's nice is with the wire and the cable, we do auto number your cables. You can even choose the formatting of that. Another nice thing too, if you're an AutoCAD user, if I move this block around, that wire is going to follow it. So I don't have to actually redraw my lines every time. I can just simply move things around and adjust it, and I can move on and continue my work. So that's everything's tagged and numbered for you, and that's what that looks like here on the AutoCAD side. And we can once again do the simple one lines, floor plans, and racks here on the CAD side. Show you a little bit of Visio as well. Let's go ahead and close that out. So let's go over here to Visio. Show you a little bit of how that works instead. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and start working on this here. It'll open up. Okay, take just a second as the Visio queues up here. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is start dropping stuff here onto Visio. So let's go over here and turn off the grid. Now with AutoCAD and Visio, we do create a title frame for you, which you can customize so your company logo and details show up. I'll show you some of the other drawing types that we didn't cover on the AutoCAD side yet. So if you want to do like a real simple one-line drawing and you're a Visio user, let me show you how that works here. You just come over here, I'll grab my camera, grab a cable, and then we'll come over here and grab our switch and drop that on here. Okay, there we go. So that's it. So that's a simple line diagram, nothing too detailed. So that's kind of the opposite of the one that we just worked on there. Brings out the pictures, you drag your items out, you can show a simple layout. You can even turn on things like locations and hide model numbers on the devices as well. We also can do elevations in both CAD and Visio. Now, once again, we haven't actually added anything in here. So for the rack, so let's go ahead and put a rack in. So let's go select rack 1 and 2. Come over here to the product side, do a quick search for a rack. And then I'm just going to, once again, drag and drop this from my database. So it's going to land in my drawing and also in my bill of materials for the project. So now we can zoom into the rack and we can start dragging and dropping items here where we want it to go. So let's go grab a couple pieces here from the equipment list, drop it onto the page. I can even right click, change the mount type to rack mount, snap it where we want it to go. Take my vent panel, connect it up here as well. So this is a true to scale rack layout. Any kind of elevations you can do here, but the good thing is it's always to scale. Going back to those dimensions we tracked earlier, this is what drives that. And then on the plan view, we also can insert AutoCAD files or PDF files in, and show what that looks like here. Let's go grab something here, insert CAD file in. Okay, so now we can zoom in to our floor plan, and once again, just drag and drop. So if I want to show a camera here, let's go to click on the camera. And if you double click it like I just did, it opens up the part. So don't do that unless you want to. Let's go ahead and drop that on here. Okay, so this now brings out our devices. So really nice on the floor plans. We can use the industry standard icons, or you can use some of our custom ones that we have in there as well. If you're doing security, we have all the SIA approved stencil sets. We have all the NFPA for the fire life safety. We also have the J standard for the AV side, and we also have all the NECA standards for the electrical side as well. So you can drag things out. You can adjust things like camera angles as well, and all your devices, all your wires are automatically tagged and colored for you based on your preferences. So none of that has to be done manually, and the install team has a clear direction on where things need to go and what it is. So that's a little bit on the drawing side. So you can build any of the drawing types here in AutoCAD or in Visio. It's really all drag and drop. So it's just a matter of selecting the parts that you want to show on the page, lay them out here as you need to. And then, once you've made your connections, you can also, once you've made a connection to a device, I'll just snap something in here real quick. You can also remove IOs that you're not using. So this is all fully integrated with the bill of materials, which I know I've mentioned a few times, but if I need to go in and change something on my drawing, it updates my equipment list. If I update my equipment list, it updates my drawing. So everything's completely linked. I can also on any drawing page see which items are in my drawing and which ones are not. And the good thing is it's foolproof. It won't let you put more in the drawing than you have in your project. So if I try to drag this camera that's already in there out onto the page again, then what it does is it actually will say, hey, you can't do that. It's already on there. So it keeps you balanced the whole way through. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and let's move on to the next step, and let's go schedule out the installation from here. So now that we've kind of built up our project, we can see the drawing files that we've created along the way have been automatically stored here with the job. Now, anything else related to the project, like job site photos, programming files, any other things that you may want to keep here can be uploaded and logged with the project. We do have a place for tracking revisions, by the way, where you can do change orders, which I can review that later if anyone wants to see it. We'll go in here and let's go schedule out the task for the install. So we built our job. Now we're ready to go out. Let's have the team go install the cameras here. You may also call it pre-wire, trim, kind of break it up however you want to. go here. Now for the install notes for the team, I'm going to drop in a few of those things we put in earlier just so they have access to it. I'm going to go in and choose my items here that I want the team to install. So let's go ahead and drop a few things in. So this is going to show my full parts list. I can actually use my filters to narrow down that list. So if I just want to go out and do a particular location, I can trim it down. Some other filters that are common is you may also want to do it by phase. So if I just want to go out and do my rough-in or pre-wire, I can pull that out. I can also, say let's just do the camera stuff. So I've selected all the camera and accessories, put them in there. It's going to take almost 9 hours there. We're going to go in and select our resources. So who do we want to do the install? So I'm going to put that all on Jeff here. And we're going to apply that time to his schedule. So now we're going to send this right out. You can send it out through Outlook or Google. We also have the abilities to publish it directly through our mobile install tool. So we'll go ahead and do that. And you can also attach copies of drawings as well, and this will get sent right out the door here to you based on that. So what I'm going to do is go venture over to my email. So the nice thing is it does create an email for you, an email notification right away. And you can go open that up and dive right into it. You also get notifications when the job is completed, when there's notes added, and when it's not done on time. So let's go click on this to go check out what we've got to work with. So here's the project we've just scheduled out. I can come in, I can actually see the details of where the job's at, the codes. I can also start logging my time here in the background. We can go into our items view. This is where we can choose which items not only need to go out, but also need to be installed. So I'll come in here and we'll say, okay, let's go through and check all these items. Now I can go and mark these items as picked so we know that these items have been loaded up or taken out to site. We also can track when they've been installed. So we'll come in here, and you can even do this by location. So I can say, okay, we're doing the front entryway. We'll go mark all those as done. And so what it does date stamp it as you go. The technician out in the field can also log in serial numbers, IP addresses, or notes, and that all feeds back and updates your project file. So everything's in one central place. We can also add site items. So if we are adding anything additional, any product or labor while on site, you can do that, and this will update back in the software. We can also add site notes. You can make little quick notes here, and this will send an email notification to anybody that's on the job. Also site photos. So if I want to take some photos here, this will allow me to tap into my camera or into my photo library. So we'll say, okay, cam and entry there. So it now logs it with the project, so it's all there. And this will date and timestamp it, so it's all there. And then anything you've added, or if you want to get a sign off on what you've completed so far, we can go ahead and open this up. We can sign off on it, and we can get an approval. So there we go. So there it is. It's all laid out. And so now we're pretty clear on how that works. So this is now all saved back to the project. Everything's logged. I can also stop my timer here at any point. I'll say entry. Spell, that'd be helpful. Go ahead and add that in. And so that does keep a time log here inside the mobile side, but it also does update in the project as well. And the calendar and everything too. Each technician has access to their own schedule. They can look at on a day, week, or month view. And there's also a little dashboard here as well, so you can kind of keep track of what's going on where. So this also is great for service orders, so we can manage service requests and tickets all the way through using the mobile tool. There's a whole separate area in the software just for service tickets, so you can manage and track those independently. So kind of jump back here. So once we're done with our project, or once we've logged some time against it, there's also a resource hours area. So this is where I can come in. If I want to see, how we're doing hours-wise on a particular project or client, I can do that. I can also take a look at all of them. You can also choose particular resources, like, who do you want to see time on, and also what the date range is. So it's nice when you go and click on anyone's name, you can actually see everything that they did over that period. Gives you all the stats and details there on an individual level. And of course, you got your overall numbers up top on the actual versus estimated in dollars and in hours. So all this information is being tracked and managed here inside the program, so you have some nice visibility into your jobs. And speaking of nice visibility, we also have the option of pulling up dashboards. So dashboards are really looking across all projects, giving you some nice business intelligence or analytics on what's going on. So I can come in here and look at my sales pipeline. I could also come in here and look at, what's our labor profitability look like? We can look at that information here by phase. I can also go in here, look at product profitability. Hey, what kind of products are making us the most money right now? We can look at that. I can also go down here and look at product usage. What equipment are we using the most or selling the most? I mean, so there's a lot of different stats and information you can take a glance at. You can look at it, in a bar chart. You can look at it in a pie chart. You'll look at it in a table. So just give you some nice numbers to visually see what's happening in the business over a period of time. And these are completely configurable, so you can make them look any way you want as far as like what's covered. And this also, same is true with our reports. So you can fully customize any of our documents using our internal report designer built into the software. So that's just the last thing we usually hit on in the general overview. Hopefully you found that helpful. And then what I'll do at this point is open this up for any questions if there are any. Okay, perfect. So let's see.